It's going to be a great one once again. Guaranteed. Vasquez already in boxing lore. Where do we go from here? Round one. Big right hand already by Vasquez.
Marquez has started faster in every one of the fights than Vasquez. Will that hold true tonight?
Well, I was surprised that no one showed up with a belt in the last minute of the WBC.
The silver belt, right?
It's spoken like a fighter. The Vasquez jab, he's trying to get that jab off early, Vasquez. That would be so important for him. Already a beautiful combination by Marquez.
Vasquez told us that he'll know what to do after the first round. He'll know what kind of adjustments to make. No real strategy going into this fight. But according to some of the experts, you guys in particular, Marquez is the more skillful fighter, maybe the faster fighter, but Vasquez is bigger, maybe a little stronger.
Yeah, and Marquez in this round showing us more the movement he showed in round 3, the jab he showed, or the fight 3 I should say, the jab he showed in fight 3. He's fighting exactly the same first round he did in the 3rd fight, and it's a good one.
Already some redness on that left eyebrow of Vasquez. Marquez a 2-1 favorite coming into this fight.
When I look at Vasquez's eyes right now, it reminds me of the trouble that David Reed had with his eye, and it really cost him an early career. He was the Olympic gold medalist in '96. It seems like when Vasquez looks up, he's like he can't get full vision. You can see that the right eye looks like it's wandering a little bit. I hope that doesn't cause him any problems tonight.
Well, and with the right hand of Marquez coming so fast, of course, it could. And the caveat to all this is Israel Vasquez in every one of these fights has fought through those cuts and kept going. So that's a key factor as well.
It's almost as if, like Marvin Hagler, when he sees his blood, he gets better.
Vasquez is really trying to establish his own jab in this round. That's important. Marquez's has been better, but Vasquez has tried.
End of the first round. Scheduled for 12. Vasquez, Marquez 4. Nice left hook by Vasquez. And let's check out Al's keys to victory in this fight.
And we start out with Rafael Marquez. The jab is vital for Marquez to win. It could create cuts and it establishes distance. He used it in round 1. He has done best in this series when he does not stand right in front of Vasquez. He's used angles in round 1, and he has a good left hook, but constantly trading left hooks could spell disaster. He did that in round 1 too, only a couple. For Israel Vasquez, he has to at least make a reasonable effort to slip and block punches. He's not the greatest defensive fighter. Stylistically, he's no match for Marquez, but he can use his strength and power in a physical battle, and we'll see him try and do that in coming rounds. His left hook is a fight changer. He's got to throw it as often as possible, and if he lands a big one, it could change things.
Already he's cut over that left eye after 1 round.
Gus, that cut never healed properly, and I'm sure he probably needed more time before he stepped in there with a fighter like Marquez. I don't know if it happened with a butt or a punch. We have to look and see what the judge ruled. I mean, what the referee ruled at the time.
We saw nothing that indicated it was from a clash of heads, although there was a couple during the course of that first round, but we'll make sure we get the ruling. But to the best of our knowledge at this juncture, we don't believe it was ruled that way. Now, Marquez fighting more on the inside right now. So if he continues to do that, he'll give Vasquez at least a chance to land one of those hooks.
Nice right hand by Marquez. Sharp with his punches. Jabs to the body, then up top. doubles up that jab. He's opening up that eye. Oh, a beautiful left hook again by Marquez as he steps off the line on a pivot.
Marquez said that he was definitely looking for a knockout tonight. I mean, with that cut opening, I think that he may be a little bit closer to something like that.
Yeah, and the danger, of course, is to engage too much with Vasquez, because he can open up that cut just as well from outside with the jab and a straight right hand without having to go after him, but he's landing some big shots, Marquez.
Marquez won the first fight, broke Vasquez's nose. Eventually, Vasquez forced to stop. Second fight, Vasquez comes back, really dominating performance as he stops Marquez. And then in the third fight, they go 12, controversial low blows, a big knockdown in the 12th and final round, and Vasquez wins by the skin of his teeth.
And right here, this fight is very much resembling what we saw in a lot of the early rounds in the other matches. Marquez being sharper with his punches and more precise for right now, but that changes with Vasquez.
You know, Vasquez is the bigger puncher, meaning that he can change this fight, the tone of this fight, with one solid punch. And Marquez is aware of that.
And the left hook has been so good for Vasquez in this series. Marquez telling us that he wants to beat the man that, quite honestly, has hurt him, has sent him to the canvas, has just had his number. And this is his opportunity.
A lot of activity, a lot of combination punching, but here comes Vasquez.
That eye really opening up now. Vasquez, deep gash, blood pouring right into his eye.
But Vasquez is making this a little more his fight, even though Marquez is doing so well.
Marquez always in this trilogy, a quick starter. Vasquez usually rallying in the end. Good body shots by Marquez, and they exchange words at the end of the round.
Okay, we're just putting here so you can see a little bit.
1 second. Okay. If you get it started, we'll let it go a little longer. I think we're all right. Okay. Yeah.
Miguel Diaz, the cut man, in the corner for Vasquez.
Now, in round one, there could have been this clash of heads that created the cut. There you see the head of Marquez getting on the eye of Vasquez. And Marquez also, though, showing us a big right hand that hurt that cut considerably.
Oh, that opened it up tremendously.
And at the end of the round, Marquez really took it to him.
Yeah, those body punches, those combination punches inside, all of that is working really good for Marquez. He's determined tonight like I've never seen him before.
Jim Gray telling us the referee has stated that the cut came from a punch and not a headbutt.
Oh, that's a significant call in this fight because that cut was so bad. I mean,
stylistically, now they clashed heads at the end of the round, and there was a little cut on the forehead of Marquez. That was what he was mad about. Marquez, though, is doing something really wrong. He's mad now, and he is standing in front of Vasquez, squaring himself up.
And that's giving Vasquez every opportunity.
That's what happened in fight two.
With that big counter punch. Why would you do that when you're controlling this fight from the outside?
Every time he's done that in this series, Vasquez comes back. But look at Marquez. Man, can this guy throw combinations.
He's looking sharp tonight, Al. He really is looking sharp tonight.
And as Marquez told us, he wants to knock him out. Another headbutt.
Headbutt, right eye, box.
And now he's cut on the right eye. Wow. How long can he go with these severe cuts over his eyes? Nice body work. Oh, beautiful looping right hand by Marquez. That slows Vasquez down.
That hurt him.
And it dropped him. And he can't see. Why do you stay in there?
I mean, he's a proud fighter. He's fighting for his country. I mean, this is what real fighters do.
Here he comes. He might not have much time. Third round. Scheduled for 12. Left hook to the body. Another right hand. Vasquez in trouble. Oh, they still exactly what he did.
It was a combination of these two men. It was a matter of the cuts being a big issue and Rafael Marquez's normal quick start being enough because of the cuts.
Yes, I mean, I was afraid of those cuts opening up and being a problem in the fighters meeting. It was his Achilles heel tonight, but Marquez, through the combinations, he threw those sharp punches, and he targeted those eyes early on, and that's what caused him to be victorious tonight.
And he cut him in the first round, and as you mentioned before the fight started, it wasn't a big punch, it was something grazing, and it opened him up immediately.
Yes, it did, and he continued to target those cuts. You know, great fight by Marquez.
And I think what's significant about this fight is Rafael Marquez showed the same technical ability that we have seen from him in the recent fights. It's very important for him. So while questions remain raised about Vasquez, there are no questions about Rafael Marquez. He clearly still has his skill level intact.
Well, you know, with those fights that Vasquez won, Will won those fights. Not that Marquez wasn't more skillful, but the will of Vasquez won. And tonight, Marquez came with equal amount of will and willed himself to a third-round knockout.
But the cuts over the eyes of Israel Vasquez now really turning out to be a problem in his career. He's cut up in his last, 3 or 4 fights.
Now, here in this round, there was a clash of heads between the two fighters, and there's Vasquez complaining about it to the referee, and he would, in fact, accept that it was a clash of heads. There was yet another in this round, and there it is and Vasquez wincing from it. That also helped open up the cut, and that's, not a pretty sight. This is the knockdown. Vasquez, that right hand really stunned him, and I think a combination of that, the punch, the cuts, the wear and tear in this fight so far was what really ended up putting him down. And even though there were clashes of heads, the fact of the matter is Rafael Marquez was technically very sound in this fight, and this is where the fight was stopped as Vasquez was just unable to defend himself.
Al, that has to be the most severe cut I've ever seen in boxing.
It's one of the worst, isn't it?
His whole eyelid was flipped upside out, and that's why, it was no need to take more punishment on that eye. He needs to go get serious surgery and hope and pray that he's able to resume his career. If not, he's had a glorious career and should be appreciated.
32 years old, and Israel Vasquez in the ring, and we now go to Jimmy Lennon Jr. for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time of 1 minute 33 seconds in round number 3. Our referee in charge, Raul Cais Jr., stops the contest. He is the winner by way of knockout, evening the score on the rivalry. And now the winner of the WBC featherweight silver belt, Rafael Marquez.
Al, champ.
And we talk about the numbers. Marquez, interestingly, with not a monstrous edge in terms of number of punches landed, according to punch stats, but he was very, very precise and powerful with his punches, and it was just too much for Vasquez.
Now let's go inside the ring where Jim Gray is standing by with the fighters.
All right, Gus, thank you very much. Rafael, congratulations to you. How much has it bothered you the past couple of years since that last fight that you lost by that 1 point and a point was deducted?
Felicitaciones, Rafael, pero ¿qué dolido has estado tú de que esa última pelea la perdiste por un punto?
Bueno, sí dolió mucho, por eso precisamente vine ahora a poner las cosas en claro y bueno, gracias a esto salió bien.
I was really hurt, and today I made things clear.
Felix De Jesus is our interpreter. Did you know right away, and was it part of your game plan, to go after his eyes because you know of the scar tissue and you know of the surgeries?
¿Tenía el plan de una vez atacar los ojos por la cortadura que ha sufrido?
Sí, yo digo que sí, ese era el plan. Y bueno, tirar golpes, todos los golpes que tiré, bueno, fueron efectivos y gracias a esto salió bien.
Yes, definitely that was the plan, and all the punches were effective tonight.
Did you feel as though Israel could be effective at all tonight, Rafael, based on what you know about his eyes and the problems he's had?
¿Tú pensabas que Israel iba a ser efectivo sabiendo lo que sabe de la cortadura que ha sufrido?
Sí, fue efectivo, varias veces me conectó, pero realmente, bueno, venía bien preparado para darle un espectáculo a toda la gente. No se terminó antes de lo que yo hubiera esperado, pero en fin, así pasó.
The fight finished quicker than I thought, but he was an effective fighter. Hit me with a couple of good shots, but we trained very hard for this fight.
You dismissed Nacho as your trainer. Daniel Zaragoza was in your corner tonight. How much of a difference was that?
¿Cuál fue la gran diferencia entre los dos entrenadores, entre Zaragoza y Nacho?
Bueno, mucho, todos ustedes lo vieron. Realmente, con Daniel Zaragoza me sentí muy bien. Muy, hasta con el vendaje me sentí perfectamente muy bien y bueno, ya lo vieron ustedes, ¿no?
There was a lot of difference tonight. The switch of trainers, the bandage, even the bandage work was great.
What has this rivalry meant to you?
Esta rivalidad, ¿qué ha significado para ti?
No, mucho, toda mi vida. Creo que Vázquez fue un gran peleador, es un gran peleador y un gran guerrero y bueno, él lo ha demostrado y bueno, hoy se cayó antes.
This has meant the life for me. This fight's with Israel Vasquez, and he's a great fighter, and he came out ahead today.
Would there be a fifth fight? Because you guys are now tied at 2 apiece. Do you feel as though Israel could have another fight?
Como están empatados 2-2, ¿tú crees que una quinta pelea sería realidad?
Puede ser realidad, puede ser que realmente toda la gente lo vea, que vote la gente para ver si hace una buena quinta pelea. Yo digo que la esquina también fue la reglamentaria, tanto como Rafael García, tanto como Daniel Zaragoza, tanto como mi papá y tanto como la empresa, ¿no? Gary Chao, Sanfer y Marquez Boxing.
Everybody did their job, starting from Gary Shaw to the trainers in the corner, and the fifth one could be a possibility if the fans want it, if they vote for it.
Rafael, stay here with us for just a moment. Let's now bring in Israel. Israel, come on in. First of all, how is your eye, and are you okay?
¿Cómo están tus ojos y está bien?
Muy bien, gracias a Dios. Desafortunadamente la sangre era demasiada que me estorbaba para mirar y bueno, pues trataba de cuidarme. No pasara lo mismo en el otro ojo.
He said that he's okay, he can see and everything, but he was just trying to take care of those eyes tonight.
How concerned were you coming into the fight? We spoke with you yesterday and we've seen your training. How concerned were you that this eye was going to open up very early in the fight?
¿Cuáles eran las preocupaciones tuyas de que el ojo se iba a abrir otra vez?
No, realmente no subí con esa intención. Me dio un buen golpe, me conectó pronto y desafortunadamente pues trataba de cuidar más mi integridad que lo que pudiera generar, pero bueno, sin querer está lista la quinta pelea.
Yeah, I was not thinking about that when I stepped into the ring to fight, that the eyes were going to open, but he hit me with a good shot and it opened up.
How concerned, check that, once the eye did open up, did it affect your fighting?
Cuando el ojo abrió, ¿comenzó a afectarte en la pelea?
No, realmente nunca me di cuenta hasta un rato después que me empezó a sangrar demasiado.
He didn't know until he started seeing the blood, then he knew that it was open.
Do you want a fifth fight? And if you do, could you fight?
¿Tú quieres una quinta pelea? Y si se da, ¿tú puedes pelear?
Claro que sí, yo creo que la Comisión Atlética de de California fue muy estricta al quererme dar la licencia. Pasé sin ningún problema el examen y por qué no volverla a pasar.
He passed the license for the California state and he's willing to do it if another fifth fight comes about.
How long would it take you for you to get your eye and your face back in proper order so that you could withstand going back into the ring with Rafael?
¿Cuánto tiempo te va a coger para arreglarte otra vez la cara para pelear con Rafael?
Bueno, pues no sé, solamente necesito ver al doctor. Ya habíamos platicado anteriormente de una cirugía para evitar precisamente los cortes y calculo que unos 5 o 6 meses estaría listo para volver a pelear.
He thinks about 5 or 6 months, but the doctor definitely has to determine that, and maybe even surgery to help the cuts don't come about.
Final question. It's 2-2 now. What has this rivalry and this matchup with Marquez meant to you?
¿Qué ha significado la rivalidad para ti 2-2 ahora contra Rafael?
Bueno, yo quisiera haber puesto la marcador 3-1, pero sin embargo me siento orgulloso de haber protagonizado, espero que para toda la gente, 3 grandes rounds y bueno, pues eso está precisamente para grandes cosas, ¿no? Yo creo que Rafael fue un peleador muy bueno esta noche y lo felicito.
I would have liked to see the 3-1 in fights, but it happened this way and I hope the fans did get to see at least 3 good rounds.
Final question, Rafael. If this was the final fight, how would you like for this to be remembered between the two of you?
Si esta fue la última pelea, ¿cómo tú quieres que se recuerden esta rivalidad que tienen ustedes?
Yo creo que lo va a acordar toda la gente. Creo que la gente está súper de acuerdo con estas 4 peleas que hicimos y realmente Israel Vázquez, como le he dicho, es un gran ser humano y creo que un gran peleador y lo ha demostrado arriba del ring. y creo que si no yo le ganaba esta, creo que él era el único campeón que realmente iba a ganar todas las que vengan.
Yeah, he says that Israel is a great fighter and most of all a great human being, and that he won this fight, but they're always fighting, you know, these close fights.
Who will he fight next?
¿Quién va a pelear próximamente?
No sé, hay que platicar con Gary, hay que platicar con la